The knocking at 2:47. You ever notice how quiet can feel louder than noise? I live alone in a tiny apartment above a laundromat, the kind of place that hums like a tired machine, vibrating through the floors until you forget it's there. The dryers below are my lullaby. Their low, constant drone keeps the night alive. Spin, buzz, sleep, that's the rhythm. Predictable, safe. But last night the hum stopped. The power cut out at exactly 2:47 a.m. I know because I checked the clock the moment my eyes snapped open. There's a kind of silence that feels heavy, like the air itself is holding its breath. This was that kind. And in that silence, 3 slow, deliberate knocks on my door. Not frantic, not accidental, like someone knew I was awake. I froze. It wasn't the first time I'd been up that late, but it was the first time the silence felt aware. The light from the street outside bled weakly through the blinds, striping my walls like prison bars. My heart was already hammering, begging me not to move. I waited. No footsteps, no whispers, just that awful stillness pressing against the room. Then, another set of knocks, 3 again, louder this time. I told myself it was probably the landlord, maybe a drunk neighbor who lost their key. But deep down, I knew better, because whoever it was, they were knocking in rhythm with my heartbeat. My breath caught somewhere between disbelief and panic. I stumbled backward, the phone light shaking in my hand. For a split second, I convinced myself it was a trick of the glass, a reflection maybe. But there's no mirror in that hallway. There's nothing to reflect. I inched closer again, squinting through the peephole. The face on the other side didn't move, didn't blink, just smiled, a stretched, patient grin like it was waiting for me to open up. "Who are you?" I whispered. The smile twitched. Then, faintly, I heard my own voice from the other side. "You left the window open." I jumped back, my chest heaving. The window. I'd cracked it earlier that evening to let the detergent smell fade out. My heart dropped into my stomach. I turned toward the living room. The curtains were swaying, even though the night outside was dead still. I ran and slammed it shut, locking it tight. When I turned back, I heard movement. Not from outside, but inside the apartment. The sound of slow, barefoot steps dragging along the floorboards. "Who's there?" I shouted, sweeping the flashlight around. It caught nothing but the walls, the chair, the empty table, until it flickered. A shadow slipped past the hallway wall, just beyond the reach of the light. Too tall to be mine, too wrong in its angles. I bolted for the door, fumbling with the locks, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. The knocking started again. This time from inside the apartment, behind me. 3 deliberate knocks against the wall. I turned. The light landed on my reflection, standing at the far end of the room, grinning wider now, head tilted like a curious child. It raised its hand slowly and pointed toward me. My phone light died. Darkness swallowed everything. The hum of the laundromat below flickered back to life for a brief second, enough to make me realize the power wasn't out anymore. Only my room stayed black. And in that darkness, I heard my own voice whisper from somewhere far too close, "Let me in." That's when I realized whatever was outside that door had already found its way in. I froze, my skin prickled, every instinct screaming that I was no longer alone. The air in the room felt heavier, like something unseen was breathing beside me. I backed away from the window, slow, deliberate steps, eyes locked on those wet footprints glistening on the floorboards, each one darker, fresher, closer. Then, the light in the hallway flickered through the crack under my door. A silhouette shifted across it. My silhouette. "Stop this," I whispered, but it came out broken, trembling. Another whisper floated from behind me, the same voice, the same tone mocking mine. "Stop this." I spun around. No one. Just my reflection in the dark TV screen, standing exactly where I was, except it smiled. My knees nearly buckled. I grabbed the nearest thing I could, a kitchen knife left from dinner, and held it out like that thin piece of metal could keep sanity from slipping. The power surged for half a heartbeat. The lights blinked on, and there I was, standing in the middle of the room. Same clothes, same knife, same terror in the eyes, only his expression slowly twisted into something cruel. "What do you want?" I screamed. He tilted his head. "I'm already here." He lunged. We collided hard, crashing into the table, the knife skittering across the floor. His grip was ice, but solid, too solid to be imagination. I clawed, kicked, fought like an animal cornered in its own skin. Every hit felt like punching glass. He laughed, I laughed, echoing off the walls until it was impossible to tell who was who. We struggled near the window. The curtains tore, moonlight spilling across our faces. I saw it then. His eyes were hollow, black, swirling like drain water, and in them my reflection kept shrinking, fading, disappearing. "No," I gasped, pushing him back. "You're not me." He smiled, that same twisted smile from the peephole. "You opened the window, remember?" Then he shoved. I fell backward, through the glass, through the cold, into the night. The last thing I saw before I hit the metal of the fire escape was him, standing at the window, closing it slowly. From below, through the pain, through the ringing in my ears, I could still hear him whisper, calm and final, "Sleep well, neighbor." For a long moment, I just stared at them. Those three prints smudged faintly into the cheap white paint of my door. The ridges, the swirls, the size identical to mine, but darker, grayer, like they'd been burned into the surface, not pressed. My heart started pounding again, the same rhythm as last night's knocking. 3 beats, pause, 3 beats. I tried to laugh. I even said it out loud. "Sleepwalking," I told myself. "You're losing it, man. That's all." But my knuckles were raw, the skin around my nails torn and bloody. I hadn't noticed it before. When I picked up my phone, it buzzed back to life. 7:43 a.m. I opened the camera, flipped it to face me, and froze. The reflection blinked a second too late. I dropped the phone. It hit the floor, screen shattering, the crack running right through my reflected face. Then the hum started again. The dryers below come into life like nothing ever happened. The familiar buzz I'd prayed to hear a few hours earlier. Except it wasn't quite right. There was a faint rhythm under it, a tapping. 3 knocks, pause, 3 knocks. I ran down the stairs 2 at a time, desperate to feel normal again, to see people, light, life. But the laundromat was empty. Machines spinning, yes, but no one there to load them. Clothes tumbling in endless circles, still wet. And then I saw it. In one of the glass doors of the dryers, a reflection that didn't belong. My face again. Watching me, smiling. I backed away slowly, my breath coming in short bursts. When I turned to leave, I noticed something scrawled in condensation on the wall near the exit. 2 words with a finger shaky, hurried. "You stayed." I bolted out into the street. Morning light never felt so cruel, so artificial. Upstairs, my window curtain moved, though I'd locked it. Someone was standing there watching. And for a second, I thought I saw my own hand, pulling it closed. I don't remember walking away. I just know I didn't stop until the laundromat hum was gone, and the knocking started again, this time echoing from inside my head. At first, I thought it was just the memory playing tricks on me, like my mind had recorded the sound, looping it to torture me. But no, the knocks are real, slow, patient, always 3. Always from the same spot, inside the walls, near the window I swore I sealed. I tried moving out, packed up my things, signed a lease across town. For a week, everything was fine. I slept, I ate, I laughed at how paranoid I'd been. But on the 7th night, at exactly 2:47, my new apartment went silent. The fridge stopped humming. The streetlight outside flickered once. Then 3 deliberate knocks from the closet door. I didn't open it. Not that night. Not ever again. But sometimes when I catch my reflection in windows and black screens and mirrors, it looks tired, worn out, like it's been waiting longer than I have. People tell me I should see someone about it. Maybe I should, but I know what I saw, what I still see. You can't unsee your own smile staring back from the dark, waiting to take your place. So now I leave the dryers running all night. I don't care about the noise or the power bill. That steady hum keeps me anchored, keeps the silence from noticing me again. Because the silence is alive. And if it ever goes quiet at 2:47 a.m., you'll hear it too. 3 knocks, a smile and your own voice whispering through the dark. You left the window open. If you made it to the end of this story, thank you for listening. If the knocking kept you curious till the last second, please like this video. It helps more people discover these stories. Don't forget to subscribe for more nightly chills and dark tales whispered from the edge of sleep. Share this video with someone who loves a good scare, or someone who still keeps a light on at night. There's another story waiting for you right now on your screen. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Just maybe don't open the window. The road without an end. It started like any late night drive. Just me, my car, and the endless road slicing through the dark. I was heading home from a business trip, somewhere between exhaustion and caffeine delirium. My GPS muttered the usual directions, that familiar monotone voice that feels half human, half machine. But after the third turn, it said something odd, recalculating. That wasn't strange at first. Out here, roads get weird. Signals drop, maps glitch, satellites forget who you are. But the voice didn't stop. Recalculating again and again, even though I hadn't moved an inch off course. At one point, I laughed. That nervous, tired kind of laugh that sounds like you're trying to convince yourself you're still in control. The night swallowed everything beyond the reach of my headlights. The beams carved a tunnel of asphalt, dust, and darkness. No signs, no turnoffs, not even stars. Just that black sky and the steady hum of tires on a road that seemed to stretch forever forward. That's when I saw it, the first gas station. Bright, fluorescent, too clean for a highway this abandoned. A man stood outside, leaning against the door, waving lazily, a half-hearted gesture, like he wasn't sure if he was warning me or greeting me. I waved back and kept driving. 10 minutes later, it appeared again. Same gas station, same man, same lazy wave. Only this time, his face looked wrong. Not different, just off, like someone had copied it from memory but missed a few details. The shape of the mouth, the distance between the eyes. I told myself I was tired, that my brain was looping like the GPS. But deep down, something was unraveling. Because I realized the road hadn't curved, it hadn't split, it hadn't ended. And yet, somehow I kept coming back to where I started. I slammed the brakes so hard the tires screamed. The air was thick, heavy, like the world had stopped breathing with me. The man outside the glass door was me. Same jacket, same tired eyes, same nervous half smile. Only older, maybe by a decade, maybe more. I stumbled out of the car, heart hammering against my ribs. The air smelled like oil and rain that never fell. I shouted, "Hey!" He didn't answer, just stood there under the buzzing fluorescent light, eyes hollow. Then the gas station lights flickered, once, twice, and everything went black. When they came back on, he was gone. The door to the station creaked open by itself. My voice cracked when I called out, "Hello?" But it was swallowed by the humming of the flickering bulbs. The aisles were stocked with identical products. Every can, every bottle, every wrapper, perfectly lined. Like a display for no one. The counter was empty, but on the register, a single receipt printed itself, the machine grinding painfully slow. I leaned in and read the words, "Turn back before dawn." The paper was warm, like it had just been printed, but the timestamp said 2:13 a.m. Again. I rushed out, jumped into my car, and hit the gas. The tires screeched against the asphalt. I drove faster, harder, until the engine rattled. No signs, no exits, just that endless stretch of black ribbon twisting through nothing. My GPS lit up again, but the voice wasn't robotic anymore. It sounded human, familiar. "Turn back before dawn," it said softly. I froze. It was my own voice. The steering wheel jerked on its own. The road blurred, and for a second I thought I saw something in the distance, a massive sign glowing faintly white. My pulse spiked. As I got closer, the letters came into focus. "Welcome to Ridgeway," the same town I'd left hours ago. I slammed the brakes again, skidding to a stop. My reflection in the windshield stared back, but the reflection smiled even though I wasn't. Behind me, in the rearview mirror, the gas station lights flickered on again, and the voice whispered, calm and cold, recalculating. The moment I passed that sign, the world changed. The air went still. Not quiet, still. The wind stopped moving. The hum of the engine muted into something hollow, distant. It felt like driving underwater. The dashboard flickered, the temperature gauge swung to red, and the road behind me dissolved into mist. I looked in the rearview mirror. Nothing. No road. No gas station. Just darkness swallowing everything I'd left behind. Panic clawed its way up my throat. I pressed the pedal harder, but the speedometer froze at 60. The car wasn't moving anymore. Or maybe it was, but the road was moving with me. Then the radio clicked on. No music. Just static and breathing. My own breathing. I killed the engine. The car didn't stop. I turned off the headlights. The darkness outside didn't change. It stayed faintly lit, as if the light was coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. A voice came through the radio again. My voice. "You shouldn't have come this far." My hands trembled on the wheel. "Who are you?" I shouted. The laughter that followed was dry, hollow and familiar. I'm you, the one who kept driving. And then I saw them, dozens of headlights in the distance, all facing me. Cars just like mine, motionless. Behind each wheel sat me. Some young, some old, all trapped in identical metal coffins of their own choices. Their eyes flickered open at once, glowing faintly white. I slammed the gear into reverse. The tires screamed, smoke poured from the hood, but the car wouldn't move. The road beneath me began to ripple, stretching like liquid, pulling the car forward no matter how hard I resisted. The voice in the radio turned sharp, angry now. There's no going back. You were warned. The road doesn't end, it consumes. I screamed, raw, desperate, as the horizon began to twist, folding over itself like paper burning from the edges. The last thing I saw before everything went black was the dashboard clock, still stuck at 2:13 a.m., and the GPS, whispering one final word, arrived. Days, or what felt like days, blurred together. There's no sun here, no night, no clock that moves. Only that endless gray horizon and the quiet hum beneath the asphalt, like something alive just below the surface. I've tried everything, stopping, sleeping, even walking. When I step out of the car, the sound of the engine doesn't stop. It keeps idling, even with no one inside. And the air hums. It hums like power lines in a storm, even though there's nothing around me for miles. Once I left the headlights on and walked toward the horizon. I counted my steps, 50, 100, 500. The car stayed right behind me, no matter how far I went, like the road was folding to keep me here. I screamed into the void once, just to hear something human. But the echo that came back wasn't my voice. It was lower, slower. It said my name like it was tasting it. The GPS still speaks sometimes, only now it uses different tones. Sometimes it's calm, sometimes pleading. Once it cried. My own voice sobbing through the static. You should have stopped. You should have listened. I don't know what day it is. I don't know what year it is. My hair's grown. My beard's thick. My clothes are stiff with dust and salt. But the fuel gauge still says full. The clock still says 2:13. A few hours ago, if time still means anything, I saw headlights behind me again. Only one car this time. The figure inside looked familiar, younger. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was someone else making the same mistake. I tried to warn him. I flashed my lights, waved, honked. But he didn't stop. Just kept driving. And for the first time in forever, I realized what the clerk meant. The one who looked like me. The road doesn't trap you all at once. It waits, it watches, and when it knows you're tired enough to stop questioning, it lets you drive until you become the warning for the next fool who won't. I stopped fighting it a long time ago. The fear dulled into something worse, acceptance. The kind that seeps into your bones and whispers that maybe you deserve to be here. I used to count the miles. Now I count the silences between the GPS prompts. The voice grows softer each time, like it's tired too. Sometimes I answer it, talk to it like it's a companion. Maybe it is. Maybe it's all that's left of me that still knows this isn't home. I've come to understand something about this place. It doesn't want to kill you, it wants to keep you. It feeds on your need to know what's next, on your refusal to stop. That's the real trap, curiosity without an off switch. Once I saw a sign appear ahead, not the endless road one, a new one. Clean, unweathered, glowing white. It said, "You're almost there." I didn't slow down. I didn't speed up. I just kept driving. Because by then I understood there doesn't exist. The sign isn't a promise, it's bait. And I was the fish that learned too late that the hook was home. The headlights dim more each day, or maybe it's my eyes getting used to the dark. I'm not sure anymore. I'm not sure of anything except this. Every time the GPS whispers recalculating, I feel something in me fade. A memory, a thought, a piece of who I was before the road. And that faint light ahead, it's brighter now. Close. I know what it is. It's not the next town. Not salvation. It's another gas station. And outside it, under that humming fluorescent glow, a man stands waiting. He's waving, slowly, and he looks just like me. Thank you for joining me on this journey down the road without an end. If this story left you thinking or unsettled, hit the like button to help it reach more listeners. Subscribe for daily stories that blur the line between fear and fascination, and share this one with someone who loves a good midnight chill. Another story waits for you on the screen. Don't miss it. Until tomorrow, keep your lights on. The Night Caller. I worked the graveyard shift at a small town radio station, the kind of place where the paint on the walls hums from old wiring and the only light comes from that flickering red on-air sign. Midnight to 4 a.m. No one really listens at that hour, and that's what I liked about it. Just me, my mug of bitter coffee, and the low hum of empty airwaves. I've been hosting Midnight Whispers for 3 years. It wasn't a real show, more of a filler segment for the insomniacs and truckers who tuned in out of boredom. I'd play old jazz records, sometimes read from listener letters, and fill the silence with soft conversation about nothing. I liked it that way, the quiet, the control. But sometimes, when the static grew too thick between tracks, I'd swear I heard something else underneath, like breathing. Slow, deliberate, almost in rhythm with the turntable. I used to laugh it off. Told myself it was feedback or my imagination, both equally tired. Then one night, the phone rang. Nothing unusual. The studio line sometimes lit up when drunks wanted to request Elvis or confess their loneliness to a stranger. But when I picked it up, the voice didn't slur. It whispered. Calm, precise. Good evening, Ethan. I froze. No one on air knew my real name. On radio, I was Jack Midnight. Ethan was buried under that, under layers of anonymity and old coffee stains. Who is this? I asked, trying to sound amused, like it was a prank. The caller didn't answer, just kept breathing softly. Then, you left your kitchen light on. My heart stalled, because I had, and I was 30 miles from home. The line went dead. For the rest of the night, every time the phone buzzed, I let it ring. At first, I told myself it was a prank, a sick joke maybe, the kind of thing bored kids did for a thrill on a Thursday night. But then the voice spoke again, calm, almost polite, listing my address, my mother's name, the color of my shirt, each detail sharper than the last. I laughed, nervously, tried to sound amused, professional. Nice trick, pal, I said into the mic, even though I'd already cut the feed. I wanted to believe someone from the station was playing with me. Maybe Kyle from Daytime had stayed late. Maybe, except the studio doors were locked from the inside. And when I checked the caller ID, it didn't show a number, just unknown frequency. Like the call hadn't come through a phone line at all. That was when I started to sweat. The voice whispered, "Don't turn around." I didn't. Not because I was brave, but because something in the tone, something final, told me that if I did, I'd see something I couldn't unsee. Then silence. The line went dead, and for the first time in my career, I killed the broadcast early. Sat there staring at the empty phone, waiting for it to ring again. It did. Every night after that. Always at midnight. Sometimes it was just the sound of breathing, slow, measured, like whoever it was enjoyed being heard. Sometimes a chuckle, low and wet, like the caller had water in their throat. And once I heard my own voice, repeating what I'd said seconds earlier. "You're listening to Midnight Whispers," it said. "You're listening to Midnight Whispers." Over and over. A perfect echo, but twisted, deeper, hollow, like it came from inside the walls. I tore the headphones off and the voice kept playing, even though I'd muted the mic. That night, when I left, the hallway lights flickered, and in the reflection of the control room window, I swear I saw a shadow, tall, still, standing right behind my chair. The next morning, I called the phone company. They said the studio line had been disconnected for months, but that couldn't be true, because at exactly midnight, it rang again. One night I snapped. I couldn't take it anymore. The calls, the whispers, the feeling that something was crawling just beyond the static. I cut the playlist mid-song, muted the mic, and slammed the receiver to my ear. "Who are you?" I shouted. "What do you want?" For a moment, nothing. Then that sound again, a low chuckle, deep, wet, wrong. It didn't come from the receiver this time. It came from behind me. The studio speakers, the ones connected only to my microphone, crackled to life with that same voice whispering through the empty air. "I'm already on air." Every red light in the room blinked on at once. The on-air sign, the phone line, even the auxiliary monitor. All glowing, all humming, like the whole station was breathing. I turned slowly toward the broadcast screen, expecting static. But it wasn't static. It was me, my face, my voice. But the mouth moved before I spoke. The version of me on screen grinned wide, eyes dark and gleaming, and said words I hadn't yet formed. "Don't turn around, Ethan." My chest tightened. That same phrase, the one from the first call. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. I tried to kill the feed, hitting every button on the console. Nothing worked. The system wouldn't respond. It was like the equipment had a will of its own. Then I noticed something worse. Outside the soundproof glass in the dim hallway, another figure stood, motionless. Same height, same build, same shirt, watching me. I froze. The monitor version of me smiled wider, almost tearing at the edges. See? I told you I was here. The glass began to fog from his side. I backed up, heart hammering, fumbling for the door, but the lock turned on its own. Click. He lifted a hand on the screen, slowly, deliberately. And then, the power died. Every light went out except the faint red glow of the on-air sign. I stood there in the dark, the echo of my own voice still humming through the speakers. You're listening to Midnight Whispers. Only this time, I wasn't the one saying it. I bolted out of the booth, stumbling into the corridor like I just surfaced from underwater. Every monitor lining the hallway flashed static, not white noise, but faces. My face. Hundreds of flickering reflections, each frozen in a different expression, grinning, blinking, whispering. I yanked every cable I could reach, slammed the main power breaker, and waited for the hum of the station to die. But the on-air light above the booth didn't fade. It stayed red, glowing in that same slow pulse, like a heartbeat. When dawn finally came, I sat in the parking lot with my head against the steering wheel, trying to convince myself I hadn't lost my mind. Maybe sleep deprivation, maybe stress. But when the morning tech team arrived, their faces told me otherwise. Ethan, one of them said, pale and trembling, "What the hell did you broadcast last night?" I didn't understand at first. Then they showed me the system logs, a 3-hour live recording under my credentials. I'd signed off at midnight, but the file showed continuous transmission until sunrise. It wasn't music, it was laughter. Low, overlapping laughter, sometimes mine, sometimes something else. And beneath it, a whisper looping endlessly, "Don't turn around." They said the broadcast went out to every frequency in the county. I tried to play it off, said it must have been a glitch, a corrupted feed. But inside, I knew better. The station had heard him, or it. After that night, small things started changing. My recorded intros glitched during replay, my voice deeper, slower, almost mocking. When I spoke live, the delay monitor sometimes picked up a tone I didn't make. One night, I caught the playback of my own show and froze. My voice laughed at something I hadn't said. The station manager told me to take a few days off, rest, clear my head. But every time I closed my eyes, I could still hear that faint static, whispering, repeating, "You're listening to Midnight Whispers." And sometimes, just before I drifted off, I'd swear I heard another line layered beneath it, soft, almost tender. I never hung up. I quit the job a week later, left everything, the booth, the records, the night shift, moved 2 towns over, took a day job at a community station where the only thing that whispered was the AC unit. I told myself it was behind me, that what happened in that room was just exhaustion and stress, that it couldn't follow me through daylight. But the recordings did. The first one appeared a few nights after I moved. My phone buzzed at exactly midnight, a file labeled live feed. No sender, no source, just the timestamp. I pressed play. It was my old intro. The same static hum, the same background crackle of the booth. My voice, cheerful, calm, saying the words I'd said hundreds of times, "You're listening to Midnight Whispers." Then faintly over the hiss came that laugh. That same dry, mocking laugh that didn't belong to me. The next night, another file. Same time, same title. But the message changed. "You left the light on again, Ethan." I checked my apartment, every bulb dark. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped the phone. Now it's every night, midnight sharp. My name whispered through a frequency no one else can trace. I've changed numbers, changed devices. It doesn't matter. The voice always finds the signal. I've thought about going back to the old station, maybe to face it, to end whatever this is. But every time I picture walking through that hallway, I hear that sound again, the low hum, the quiet breath before the laugh. And I remember the last thing the voice ever said before the feed went dead. "You're never off air." Sometimes when I drive past empty lots or catch static between stations, I think I can still hear him, talking, waiting, broadcasting through whatever's left of me. So if you ever tune into the late night dial and hear my voice, do me a favor. Don't answer the call. If you enjoyed The Night Caller, please like this video. It helps others discover these stories. Subscribe for daily dark tales and mysteries that linger long after the screen fades. Share it with someone who loves a good scare. Thank you for listening. There's another story waiting on your screen. I'll see you back tomorrow.